Hey, what's going on? Using my story once again. You guys already know it's me, Samuel. Just have another exciting podcast for you guys. We have a great guest with us that is going to come and bring some hope, some faith, and some fire. That's going to share his story and, just continue to show you guys ain't alone and that there is hope in what we do. So let's go ahead and take a second and introduce yourself, brother.
My name's Emiliano Valenzuela.
Emiliano, my guy.
Orale.
So, Emiliano, first off, thank you for coming out here, man, and just, spending some time with us and just hanging out with us and being willing to share your story.
Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. It won't be the first. It won't be the last.
That's all right.
All right. So, Emiliano, like I was explaining to you a little bit before, what we do here is we bring people on that are going to share their stories, give people hope, give people faith, drop some fire and some knowledge, and just be vulnerable for a moment to show people they're not alone. Right? That every day there's somebody who's struggling with something, whether it's substance abuse or mental health. But if people like us can make it, Emiliano, why can't they, right?
Right, yeah.
So, after you've introduced yourself, let's just jump right in, bro. Let's talk about where you grew up.
I grew up in Hollister, California.
Hollister, California. How was that for you?
It was small. No, it was good. It was good.
Small town
It was
living?
quiet. It was quiet. It was nice. It was actually small town living. It was nice. My father's side of the family is from there. My mom and my sisters lived there after. That's what all I remember is like Hollister, and then of course right down from Gilroy, the garlic capital. You can smell, but it was much agriculture and then farming at the time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have siblings.
Yes, I have three, all older. I have myself, a sister, another sister, and then a brother. So it's the oldest.
Boy, girl, boy.
Yeah.
So you're the baby.
Yeah.
Did you get spoiled a lot?
No.
No?
Yeah, no. I mean, I was my mom's favorite. I mean,
Yeah.
I grew up with my mom.
Okay.
My parents were divorced when I was really young.
Okay.
So it's just my mom and my sister. So.
Okay. So in growing up in a single parent household, right? Mom's held it down for you? Mom held it down for you?
Oh yeah, no, she was my best friend. She was very cool. Yeah, she really had she had to take the reins and kind of work two jobs for a while until she made it ends meet, and then she ended up being a dietitian in a hospital. But she went through a path. She worked at a roach coach. She worked at a fish factory. We had an apartment. We had all that we can. You know.
She held it down.
Yeah.
Give you the best life she could.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
That's cool.
Coming from, I was a single parent myself for a couple of years. It's hard, so hats off to your mom.
Yeah.
And you're a great guy, bro. So she did a great job.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate
All right.
it.
So, the conversations we've had in this podcast room, but outside of here, you do a lot for the community.
Appreciate that.
So with growing up with just a single parent, how was that going to school? How was that like working out for you?
It was tough. Growing up, it was a little bit better as I got through high school, but like growing in middle school, we didn't have a lot. Like we waited in line for food, lit candles at the end of the month because I'm sure the power went off. Yeah. And so it was tough. But I worked it out. I mean, that's all we could do. I was that person that had the clothes that looked a little tattered. Yeah. I had glasses that were they were taped because they were broken. I was also bullied. Yeah. So it was a little bit of like, a lot of insecurity, a little bit of trying to forge through stuff. Not an easy task. But like my mom was there, and it was all I could do to like be there with my mom and sister. And my mom and my sister and I were very young at the time. So
in middle school, you were being bullied. Mm-hmm. And family was your mom was in their struggle, but she was trying to hold it down for you.
She worked two jobs, and so we were those kids that we had like, the pork and beans and the tortillas and the drop biscuits and the stuff but we always had she always made sure we had HBO, right? Yeah. So, but like that was the only thing we had HBO just to watch, and then we just.
Did you ever get the black box?
Yeah. Yeah.
You remember the black box?
Yes.
We had all the channels, my boy.
That's what I'm talking about. Well, I mean, we eventually had that, but that was
that's cool, man.
That was
So in middle school, being bullied, and then was your sister a victim of bullying as well?
No, she was like my second mother. So she was like a year and a half older than me, and so when my mom was gone, she took the parental role, and we were young, but she made sure that I had everything and I was around. She was really, at the time, it was really.
Before we started this podcast, we were talking about that era, right? What we call back in the day, right? When people say 30 years ago, I'm still thinking we're in the 2000s, bro, but we're not. We're talking about the 90s, the 80s.
Yeah.
And it was a totally different era. You know, latchkey kids were a normal thing. Right?
Yeah, that's
Kids
what
coming home on our own and feeding yourselves and doing what you needed to do because your parents were just out working.
Yeah.
Right. And so middle school, high school, what did high school look like for you?
High school was a little bit better. Like during middle school, I was bullied, and in high school, I actually hung out with little people that were older than myself, and they actually gave me hope and taught me like a little value of what I brought to the table, and kind of filled me up a little bit from the inside. They had nice like one was a student council, one was this, one was that. So I ended up hanging out with them, and they actually turned it around for me. They actually made it nice. There was still some stuff going on at home in the background. My oldest sister was a gang member, and there were other things going on. So all that was going on in the background. But I'm the first one to graduate high school.
Wow.
So when my mom made it an effort to make sure that I completed it, and so I hung out with people. I actually, in high school, it was really cool. I was prom king. I was part of student council. I flipped the script. So like in the middle school, all those people that bullied me, they wanted to be my friends, and I kept them at bay because I hung out with all of the like the Breakfast Club crowd, the mix of everybody who didn't fit, the kind of people that were odd in some places and not in others. Yeah. And so that's kind of how I was able to navigate through it. And so, but it was tough, and there was drinking around me, but I really didn't start anything until after I graduated high school. But all of that stuff, in high school, 7 people died for different things, some drugs, some this, some that. So it was a bunch of different things that were going on during high school.
So you graduated high school, first one to graduate. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Right? It's that's what we call a chain breaker. Somebody who breaks the fad of nobody's going to graduate, nobody's going to be a success.
Yeah.
So after you graduated high school, that's when you started dibbling and dabbling.
Yeah, because everybody was in my family drank during the holidays, so I watched all of that, and I was like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. My brother burned his brains on angel dust when I was a kid, younger. My sister was a drug dealer as well as a gang member, and so I didn't want to do any of those things. But during that time, I hung out with my sister a bit of time too, so I got to see some, like those movies where you see the guns where people were shooting at you. I've had people do that to me when I was growing up. So I had a gun like this, and I'm not proud of things that. Yeah. But like all of that stuff, I've seen all of that. Yeah. So I grew up with that, and I didn't want that, so I didn't drink. But there was still that around me. So when I left, I was like, I got to go to school. I got to figure this out. So I left home completely. I detached from them because it wasn't a good element at the time, and everybody was starting to get involved with drugs. And I was like, I have to not do that. You know, here we go. Ironically, after I graduated, I picked my own family, my chosen family growing up. After I left high school, I went and did my own. After I did that, I finished my degree, and I ended up leaving. And as I was doing that, I stayed, I guess, for 3 or 4 years after I got the degree in San Jose, and I partied a lot. I had fun a lot. For every Friday, I'd go to Costco, get a case of beer, a magnum of vodka, a magnum of gin, a magnum of tequila, and a box of wine.
Dang.
And then and then I owned my own apartment, so I thought I was good. So I would just do all of that, have people come through, be fun, and then like, in hindsight, my friends said that they took people to rehab after weekends that they spent with me. Oh, shoot. So I was like, okay, well, I didn't know that. Thanks for the information now. I was like, that's good. I got you. So then I left to, after I graduated, then I finished what I was doing there. I left to LA, and then I just kind of ended up living bi-coastally, partying a lot, doing everything that I could get.
So what would you say that was like the age time frame? So from right after high school to what age?
To about 25, 26, somewhere around there. Actually, I want to say 30, because I spent, you lose your time when you're doing that. Although I worked in startups, I did all that thing, but I played hard and I worked hard. Yeah. So nobody really said anything because I made it to work on time. Yeah. Did all my things. I recovered, drank my water, went to the gym. Yeah. But I binged on the weekends. Yeah. All the time. Yeah. All the time. It was always like, let's get this, let's get that. Yeah. Cut to about when I turned in my 30s, I went to LA and then ended up being a part of a media company that was bi-coastal.
Okay.
And then I became the candy man. I got a drug dealer in LA, and then I lived in New York too. So I got a drug dealer in New York, and I was just like every Friday I would make sure I had my stuff.
Yeah.
And either, in LA, or we'd have different parties. We'd go to the Abbey or the W or whatever places where we'd host parties. And in New York, the media company I worked with basically had all the bigger names, so we would have huge parties. But I would end up bringing candy to each one of those places.
So from after high school, now we're talking about in your 30s. So you went from, I'm not going to drink. I don't want to be part of this.
No,
this is not the life
at all.
for me. To, hey, it's Friday. We got to go to Costco and load up and get crazy.
That's what I'm talking about.
And then you do that. And then now you went from, so the evolution of the addiction, right? So then you're like, okay, now I'm doing this. Now I'm on the West Coast and on the East Coast. I need to make sure I sustain on both ends. And now not only am I going to sustain, but I'm also going to supply. So you became a drug dealer.
I supplied the drugs. I never sold them. I just bought them, and they were candy for me because I had such an insecurity.
Yeah.
That's how I attracted the people.
Exactly.
I was like,
that's where I was about to come full circle
sorry,
with
go,
that.
Go. Yeah.
No. That's good.
I got you. Yeah.
So, in order to be surrounded by people, so you weren't alone, you supplied things for free, and you used your houses, and you used your place of residence, and you used all these things just so you wouldn't be alone in your addiction.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I had a house in the hills and I had a house in the West Village, and I would just do my thing. I would always keep it up. It looked good on the outside. It was all empty on the inside. But all I had was when the candy was gone, when everything I had was gone, they were gone. Yeah. And then that's rinse, wash, and repeat.
Yeah, so doing that, this is where we find the difference between associates and friends, right? So you have these associates that are, you got what I need. I'll be there. Oh, it's done. I'm out. So not only did you not find security in that, you can even take it all the way back to middle school when you weren't secure at that point.
That's what it stems from, me being pushed around a geek and nobody, and that's who I was for a long time.
Yeah.
I was empty inside.
That was the outlook. That was the self-esteem, which was non-existent. That was like, I need to supply because I just want people around me, so I need to make sure that I have what they want, because if not, I'm going to be alone.
Yeah.
And that's crazy because all that is applicable to today, right? You can look at that today. People are just people pleasers, right? And they'll, okay, yeah, I'm going to do that for you. I'm going to do this for you just because I don't want you to leave me. Mm-hmm. So at what point in that span of time would you say you were at a rock bottom?
So here's interesting enough. So I was in both coasts, right? So I was doing one thing. I ended up getting hit by a car out of my boots in West Hollywood.
Oh, dang.
Because I lived in the hills there, so I walked because I didn't want to drive because I knew I would drink and drive. And so I lived up the Cienega above Sunset, so I just walked all over the place. I got hit by a car there, and my boots were out of my, I got knocked out of my boots, but I was so drunk that it just flew in the air and landed. People were all around me. They were like, oh, are you okay? And I pushed everybody away, grabbed my boots, got back home, and I was bruised on the side of me. I was okay. I have a bad back now, obviously, but that happened. And then, I guess a week or two later, I woke up under a cab from a blackout in New York.
Oh, wow.
So then, and that was in my work shirt. So then people pulled me out from, I don't know how I didn't get
ran over.
Yeah, but I just woke up under the cab, and they pulled me out from there, and they were like, oh, And then, cut to probably a month later, I lived on a 5th floor apartment building in New York. I went to the roof because I locked myself out and we were the top floor. So I kind of I did drop myself off from the roof into the fire escape.
Oh, shoot.
So I could get into the house.
So you're the original Spider-Man.
So that's So, right? I made it, but I hit myself on that air. The air conditioners are on the fire escape.
Yeah.
So I knocked myself out. So then after I woke up, I was like, my head was, but I got in the house.
Yeah. Mission was accomplished, but
all of those things. So then, and then the 4th time I woke up behind a bar without my shoes on in my car, and that was Christmas Eve.
So you had these series of events, ran over by a car, found underneath a cab, hanging off of a 5th floor fire escape, hitting your head on an air conditioner. And then what was this last one again? Oh, you woke up behind a bar, no shoes.
No shoes on. It was in my car.
Were they the same boots that you had gotten hit
No,
in?
no, they were flip flops. This was L.A. This was L.A. I was like, I'm in flip flops. I ain't gonna do that. So like, I was.
I was gonna say those are probably bad luck boots. If they're missing again.
No, but I mean, I got rid of those boots a long time ago.
Yeah.
But like after I woke up from behind the bar, I was like, you know what? I had my relationship was going to shit.
Yeah.
My mom was dying. She had COPD and all these things, and then she was also a meth addict. She became a meth addict over the times that I was doing all this.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I need to get this shit straight because I need to do this for me, and I need to. So when I woke up, that was Christmas Eve. Christmas Day, I went to a meeting at the can I mention names or anything? The AT Center in Silver Lake.
Okay.
And so that's kind of where
So that was going to be my next question.
Yeah.
And you kind of touched on it a little bit. Was while you're here and you're running this muck and you're Pablo Escobar and you're plata or plomo.
Órale pues, carnal.
While you're out here running amok, I was going to ask your brother and your two sisters and your mom, were they in their own addictions?
Well, this is when I left high school. My oldest sister was a gang member, so she was out in crowds, and I hung out with her a bit of time during that time. I didn't mention that, but I was around that, so I saw people die. I saw a bunch of go down, and it wasn't cool. And then I had to take care of stuff too. And then my youngest sister became a drug dealer. And she was living with my mom. My older sister left. My mom and my younger sister were there. She became a drug dealer, and then she got my mom addicted to meth.
Okay.
And so that went full circle. My father was a deadbeat. He never was around. He had his own stuff to do, but he was an absent father. Everybody else he was a father to, except for his own kids. So I don't even bother with that. But so I was dealing with my mother and my sister, and my mother was my best friend.
Yeah.
She did everything for me. She was amazing.
Yeah.
She didn't let people drink at parties, or she didn't let people drive at parties or anything like that. She was just really key to like being a good parent. Yeah. And then to see her go 180 degrees around, it was hard.
Yeah.
So,
see, for me, it was my mom was in recovery, right? So I've shared this before on this podcast, is I was my mom's sober baby. But back in those days, they didn't have detox and they didn't have treatment centers. They didn't have none of that. So my mom told me the story that she was in a mental health hospital and detoxing off of alcohol and, hallucinations and all these things. And so when she got sober is where I was born and, life moved on. I was raised by somebody who wasn't my biological father, which I appreciate and love that guy. Nice. He passed away in 2006. He was also in recovery. Sorry. Yeah. You know what? It's one of those things that I have peace that man gave me what he could, for what he had. He did what he could. He wasn't perfect, bro. My mom, same thing. But I appreciate what they gave me, and I honor what they gave me and what they implemented in my life, my work ethic, like showing up. This is what I'm going to do. My mom taught me how to cook. My mom taught me to cook. She said, you'll never have to depend on a woman to take care of you. So I learned to sew. I learned to cook. I could do my laundry. I can,
That's
iron.
one of the things my mom did before I left.
Yeah.
She made sure I knew how to wash clothes. Yeah. I knew how to cook. I knew how to shop.
Exactly.
She took care of all that right before I left. She did everything for me.
Yeah, we're not talking about eggs and pancakes. I'm talking about some chile rellenos and some arroz con pollo,
I was raised Mexican Italian, so we had like pesto and tacos, or
some spaghetti taquitos.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, right. I was a talk about fusion. That was way fusion back then, right?
Yeah. You're the original fusion maker.
Yeah.
So after those 4 incidences of just physical damage to yourself and also mental health damage, right? What did you do to be like, okay, I'm done?
I needed to go to. I was fooling around with the thought of it when I was in New York, so I went to a few meetings. I lived in the West Village, went to the East Village, sat in the back of a church, and kind of just was absent. Was like, what do? I saw tons of people, suits, homeless, and a whole mix of people. And I was like, who the hell are these people? What's going on? Yeah. So after doing that, after getting to that point where I was, I went and I knew that there was a couple sober places because I'd done a little research because I knew I needed to take care of it. So I sat in a meeting and I just paid attention.
Yeah.
And it was time. It was time for me. I had met a few people that were sober before, so I had a few friends in the area, in the room, that they were like, you know, in hindsight, they knew where I was going.
Yeah.
And so they just needed me to come.
Yeah.
I needed to do this.
You need to humble yourself.
I needed to. And I humbled myself.
Yeah.
I went from living on two coasts to living in a 1-bedroom apartment with a woman that I had partied with.
Yeah.
She was sick, so I was taking care of her and 2 cats in just a 1-bedroom apartment. I went from doing all of that to like being in a Honda Accord that had a window that didn't roll up.
Yeah.
I had to hold up with one of those little suction cups.
Yeah.
So I went from that to like just figuring out what I needed to do to live.
Yeah.
Because everything that I did, I was drinking at people, using at people. I was doing all of those things, like, you know, I had nothing, and now I have all this, and screw you.
Exactly.
And I was like, and you know, but
so
I was
you went from nothing to top to being like, this is where I need to be again.
I need to go
get
there.
Back recentered.
I need to go there. I put things in storage. I left the relationship after 8 years.
Yeah.
I was like, I need to do this for me.
Yeah.
I need to get my shit together.
So when that happened, is that the run that you're on now of sobriety?
Yes.
So how much sober time you got?
I have 12 years.
Come on.
12 years. But you know what? I did stop doing this.
Yeah.
Like before, I didn't count those other times where
Yeah.
I had like a year I stopped, and I was like, I can do this. But I never went to meetings. I wasn't doing any, but I had stopped using, and then I just eventually smoked a little pot, did a little this, did a little that, and so I had done that 3 times previous. So if I would have counted if I would have ever said I had any relapses, I would say probably 3 relapses, but I wasn't in it.
Yeah.
After I went to the AT center, I was in it. I tried to do it my own, right?
Yeah.
So you try to do it on your own, it doesn't ever work.
And that's something I've said,
Yeah.
and something that many guests have said, is when you try to do it on your own, you're not going to make it. You're not going to be able to do it, which
You
is
need the
why
fellowship.
Exactly. You need the system. You need the support system behind you, because without a support system,
Well, I didn't have any love. When I went into the rooms, I didn't love myself.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about that. And because I was still the shell of a kid that was beat up, that was pushed in lockers, that was put front in dodgeball games.
Yeah.
Like that was me.
Yeah.
And so that was still me, even on paper it looked good, but it was still me.
Yeah.
You know, you could drive this, do this, wear that, but that's still you. You
Yeah.
can't get that. And I got that out of the rooms. I went to the rooms and they started giving me love that I didn't know. When my mom died, I didn't have any of that anyway. But like, they filled me up. They showed me like, this is what we can do. This is how you can live. You can get better, and you can start looking at things in a different way. Like when I was out in my addiction, my world was much bigger and my life was much smaller. And now my life is much bigger and my world is much smaller.
Nice.
And it's such a blessing.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for the life I have today. And today I have a partner that is sober, a husband of 18 years. He's 11 years, but he's sober 18 years. And we have created a community of friends, a tribe that are a mix of everybody.
Nice.
And we get to do things on our own. I've never thought I'd own a home. I've had 3. I've never thought I'd have my pit bulls. I got my pit bulls.
Come on.
I never thought I'd have the life I had today without sobriety. And that's like first and foremost. In any relationship, the first thing is sobriety.
Yeah.
In a marriage, the first thing is sobriety. Everything else will come.
Yeah.
You got to put sobriety first.
Yeah.
You got to put that first, and you got to put your, get into the meetings, get a sponsor, get some sponsees. Now that fluctuates.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I'm like, I just need to not go.
Yeah.
But then the troll doll, when you shake it and the hair goes like this. So like me, like if I don't go to meetings, I start getting that troll doll hair just goes bigger and
Not
bigger
me.
and bigger. Right? Yeah. I mean, this is 2 hair transplants, by the way. So I have feathers. So not you at all. And this is as long as my hair gets, right?
Yeah.
So but I mean, I know, but
that's freaking awesome, bro. And so now you're living this life, the life that you could only have dreamed of, but also a lot of hard work and a lot of like self-reflection and a lot of, I'm sure, because it's me too, is emotional moments where you miss your parents, right? I lost both my parents. And so it's like a lot of times when you're thinking about like, man, if they could have only seen where I'm at.
and when my mom died, it was the worst
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I hadn't seen her in a while because when I would go visit, my sister was always offering me drugs. And I was like, I can't do this. And they were keeping my mom alive because they were collecting a paycheck, my father and she. And it was just a really bad incident. My other sister called me when she died at the house where she was, and I drove there. And as soon as, and this is my year and a half sober. So when I got there to the house, and, you know, I just ignored my sister, and my mom was just there. And she was just laid out, and I just gave her a kiss on the forehead, and I told her I loved her, and we had a lot of conversations before because she was, you know, slowly.
And that also adds to the peace.
Yeah.
That also adds that I had that moment.
Yeah.
You know, because I wasn't able to have that moment with my father, but I was able to have that moment with my mom.
Yeah.
And when I had that, I was like, it was a week before, and I was like, I'm grateful for that. Yeah. You know, those. It was an uncomfortable but a needed conversation. Yeah. Right? To where peace was given, forgiveness was done, and it was like, all right, Mom, I love you, dude. You know, and it was like, we're good. You know, and the day that she passed, what I told her in her ear was like, Mom, this isn't goodbye. I'll see you when I get there. Mm-hmm. Right? And I had that peace. So my grieving process was a lot different than most people's because I have that peace that I was able to have that moment. Right? So are you the example of sobriety in your family now with your siblings?
I don't, because I don't really talk to any of them. I talk to some aunts and uncles, but I don't. But they know that I'm sober. They know that I have a life that is much different than was before. Yeah. And like to be like, people come up and they're like, you did it. You flipped the script. You got out. Yeah. You got out,
chain breaker,
and you made it. You made it happen, and you live it every day. And now what I do is I always want to just lift others up. Yeah, you know, happiness is a superpower. I work with a lot of like different. I just work in happiness. Yeah, work in happiness, and that's all I stay in. And you know, life gets real. Yeah. And when life gets real, I go ahead and rise to the occasion. Yeah. But I feel. Yeah. I allow myself to feel in sobriety. I could feel. I'm able to feel and love and learn and hurt and cry and fight and all that. You get all those emotions, but I don't have to use to alleviate that. I don't have to use to anesthetize those to get rid of those feelings. Yeah. I don't have to use to do any of that. Exactly. What I get to do is deal with it with the tools that I have from sobriety, with the people that I have in sobriety, with the friends and everything else that sobriety has given me. I'm so grateful for that. Yeah. That you can't just step back out of that. Like if I did drugs the way I did then, I'd be dead because there's fentanyl and all these other candy things in there, and I just like I would die, and I don't. And the way when I work with in sobriety and I work with in treatment, I get to tell people, this is bullshit. Don't tell me this stuff because you can't bullshit a bullshitter. Exactly. I know exactly what you're talking about, and that ain't it. Yep. And so if you want to do this, come, have fun, do it for yourself. If you don't, you know, I wish you the best. I hope you don't die.
I tip my hat to you. Yeah. Here's a couple of Narcans.
Yeah, here you go. Here you go, buddy. If you want to do this, your woe is me, bitch. You don't know where I come from. You don't know where I come from. Emiliano. I was like, you don't know where I come from. So I'm sorry about that.
No, it's all good. So we're at the point in the podcast that we talked about where this is your camera.
Oh no. Okay.
And there's one person. Even if we reach one person, we've achieved our goal. Right? Of giving somebody hope. Speak from the heart. There's no time limit. Take it away.
Wow. If you're out there, if you're feeling desperate, like you have nothing left, like you have nothing left to give, you have nothing, you're under a bridge, in an alley, or you're just sitting there in your room thinking that life could be better, it can be. Life can be so much better. My life is so much bigger and my world is so much smaller, and everything that I get to do today, I get to do today. You can flip the script. If you think you can't, you can. You will, and you are the best person you can be when you're sober. Don't worry about what others say. People's opinions is none of your business. people can tell you how to be, you're going to be exactly how you are. And be the person you are, but be the best person you can be. And sometimes it takes sobriety to make that happen. Life is going to throw you shit from every angle. The best way to deal with it is sober. How you do that is up to you. Whatever you need to do, whoever you need to lean on, whatever you need to reach out to, get on your knees, pray to your higher power, whatever that may be. Eat a chocolate bar, eat a candy, do something else. Change the direction in which you are going now, because it's not working. You're going to keep doing the same thing. If you give yourself the opportunity, pick up the phone, reach out to a friend, go to a meeting, do something different than you have been, because you're doing the same thing over and over again, and that's going to get you exactly where you are right now. So I'm a prime example. I grew up poor. I grew up with a single parent. I grew up with nothing. They told me I wasn't going to amount to nothing. I had a gun to my head. I had all of these things happen. I've seen people die. All of these things happen. If your life is bad, it's bad, but you can change it. You can be the difference you want to be, but you have to reach out. You have to take that. You have to take action. You have to do something else, because this is not working. And I hope you've taken something from this, and I can be of any kind of help to you from what I've said. So thank you.
That was awesome. Got me kind of a little emotional, but that's good. That's what we need. Straight and just unedited, just hope. You know, a lot of people like to sugarcoat things, but the reality is, if you want change, you got to do something different.
That's what I learned a long time. I'm unapologetic. I am who I'm going to be. I don't sugarcoat shit.
Exactly.
Transparent. If you're transparent, you're truthful. Yeah. Because then you don't have to cover. You don't have to say anything.
Yeah. Lies get sloppy, bro.
Done. Done.
So with that being said, using my story, community, we love you guys. We're hoping for you guys. We got faith for you guys, and hopefully you find some inspiration, some hope in this podcast, but every other podcast, the educational videos, everything that we do. If you guys are struggling with mental health or substance abuse, make sure you guys reach out. Our links are in the DMs. More than willing to help you guys. We offer mental health and substance abuse. We have inpatient and outpatient services available to you guys. Just make sure you guys reach out, man. It all starts with a phone call. It all starts with humbling yourself. But most importantly, what it really starts with is a decision that you're tired of being tired. So once again, my name is Samuel. And just know you're not alone. Thank you for tuning in. We'll catch you guys next week. Later.